So what would it take for you to go to the absolute edge of the world, to face down a grizzly bear and endure something, well, pretty disgusting, all for a trophy? We're about to get into a wild story that's all about that. It's an incredible adventure from the remote coast of Alaska, full of legal loopholes, serious danger, and a whole lot of grit.
And there you have it. That's the mission. Our guy gets a text. A dead walrus has washed ashore. So what does he do? He hops on a plane for a 2-hour flight from the nearest town just to land on a remote, empty beach. His one and only goal is to find that carcass and harvest the ivory. Simple, right? Well, not exactly, because he's not the only one looking for it.
You have to understand, out here a fresh walrus carcass is basically a dinner bell the size of a school bus for every grizzly bear in the area. And it also attracts other people, other hunters. He's got to move, and he's got to move fast. Otherwise, he's going to lose this prize to a competitor, whether that competitor is a human or a 700-pound bear.
Okay, so you're probably asking the same thing I was. Wait, is any of this even legal? And that's where this story gets really, really interesting. This entire crazy quest is only possible because of a very specific, kind of strange Alaskan law. That's right. Walruses are federally protected. You can't just go out and hunt one. But, and this is a big but, if you happen to find a carcass that's washed ashore and it's within a quarter mile of the sea, the law considers it found material. It's basically beachcombing. This one little rule changes everything, turning what would normally be illegal poaching into a legitimate, if unbelievably dangerous, treasure hunt. So let's get to the hunt itself. His plane drops him off, and now he's got a 4-mile hike down the beach to where the walrus is supposed to be. And believe me, this is no relaxing stroll on the sand. The beach is already telling him a story, and it's not a friendly one.
Right away, he starts seeing tracks. This beach isn't empty. It's practically a highway for the local wildlife. If you want to survive out here, you have to know how to read these signs, to know who you're sharing the road with.
And this is where your heart starts to pound a little. First, he sees caribou tracks. Okay, hoof prints, prey animals. But then, right on top of them, he sees something else. The unmistakable, massive pad prints of a grizzly bear. A grizzly that's been walking this exact same path back and forth.
He finds one print that's especially fresh, and he actually stops to measure the front pad. It is a massive 7 inches across.
Now, there's a chilling rule of thumb that hunters in Alaska use. For every inch of pad width, you can estimate a foot of bear from nose to tail. So a 7-inch pad means he is sharing this beach with a 7-foot grizzly bear, and it's heading in the exact same direction he is.
After a 2-hour hike, he finally gets to the walrus, and in a huge stroke of luck, there are no bears around. But now, the real work begins, and what comes next is a long, physically brutal, and frankly disgusting ordeal to claim his prize.
This was not a quick job. This whole thing took 4 hours straight. First, he has to suit up in protective gear, and that includes nose plugs. The walrus hide is so incredibly tough that it takes 15 solid swings with a brand new axe just to make the first cut. Then he has to find the neck, which he said was hidden inside a giant fat tube of blubber before he can finally start hacking and sawing the head free. And in the moment he breaks through that hide, he unleashes a smell so unbelievably awful that he just says it was the worst thing he's ever smelled in his entire life. He said those nose plugs were an absolute game changer.
And you know, the bears weren't the only danger. Walruses can carry diseases like trichinosis. At one point, he got a tiny little nick in his glove, and he had to stop everything immediately to wash and bandage his finger. One small infection out here could be a disaster. All this while he's in the middle of a 4-hour physical marathon. Okay, so the 50-pound head is finally off, but now the next phase begins. He has to drag this thing 4 miles back to his camp. And this is where the danger level just goes through the roof. He has a name for this part of the journey, trolling for bears. And that's literally what he's doing. He's dragging this massive piece of fresh bait behind him, leaving a powerful scent trail all the way down the beach. He's basically sending out an invitation to every predator for miles around. When he finally gets back to camp, he is completely exhausted, and his survival strategy for the night is just one thing: fire. Not for warmth, but for the smoke. The idea is to send his human scent from the fire downwind in the same direction as the smell of the walrus. It's a signal to any approaching bear that this particular meal comes with a human attached. So he survives the night. But the adventure is far from over. The journey from a rotting, gruesome head on a remote beach to a clean, pristine skull on a bookshelf. Well, that's a whole other chapter in this story, and it's a long one.
On day 3, a friend actually flies in a 55-gallon drum, and he spends hours boiling the skull right there on the beach just to get the worst of the flesh and gunk off. But even after he gets it home, the work isn't done. For 2 solid weeks, it soaks in a mixture of dish soap and hydrogen peroxide. And finally, after a month, he takes it to a professional taxidermist for the final cleaning to get that last bit of smell out.
So why all the extra effort? Well, apparently, after having 2 other rotting skulls stinking up his garage on previous occasions, his wife put her foot down. She told him there would not be a third. This one had to be perfectly clean before it was allowed in the house. Hey, sometimes that's all the motivation you need, right?
And there's one last, very important step to make it all legal. He has to take the skull and its tusks to the Alaska Department of Fish and Game. They register the parts, drill a tiny hole in the ivory, and insert an official tag. That's the final proof that it was all harvested legally.
So let's recap. After the flight, the 4-mile hike, the disgusting 4-hour job, the terrifying walk back, and a full month of cleaning, the quest is finally complete. The reward for all that risk and all that work? A magnificent walrus skull to put on his desk.
I mean, what a story. It's really a testament to one person's incredible determination in the face of some serious danger, all for a one-of-a-kind prize. And it really makes you think, doesn't it? What lines would you be willing to cross for your own ultimate trophy? What risks would you take?